This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, welcome to the AWS training program. And today we'll be talking about code pipeline. So from last few days, we are talking about CI/CD services. Like we started with code commit, and then we talked about code build. Yesterday, we talked about code deploy. And today is another service that is code pipeline. So we'll explore this service theoretically as well as we will do it practically so that you can get more idea on that. So let's start with the agenda. The agenda for today's class is overview of code pipeline, create a code pipeline, add source stage, add a build stage, add deploy stage, run a code pipeline, and monitor a code pipeline. So let's talk about the overview. So AWS Code Pipeline is a fully managed CI, that stands for continuous delivery service, that helps you automate your releases. When we talked about CI/CD concept, CI stands for continuous integration and CD stands for continuous delivery, or you can say continuous deployment. That means as and when you are making any change in your code, that may be stored into code commit or that may be stored into like GitHub, right? As in when you are making any change, first of all, that code should be integrated into the existing code, because there are suppose 10 files. Out of those 10 files, you are making changes in 2 files. So those 2 files changes should be integrated into the code repository. That's integration. And after that, the same code should be deployed as well. That means CI, you can say CD part, continuous deployment part. So it automates the build, test, and deploy phases every time there is a code change. So we will be adding multiple stages, and I will show you that as and when we are making any change in the code in the repository, it will ultimately deployed and finally reflecting on your application. This enables you to rapidly and reliably deliver features and updates. In old days, when the CI/CD concept was not there, releasing any feature was like a big process, and usually we were not having releases like every week, because release itself is a very big headache. So usually I remember if I talk about like 10 years back, hardly like we were having one release in like 2 or 3 months. Every quarter we are having a very big release. But now with the help of CI/CD concept, almost every sprint, our sprint is like 2 weeks long, so almost every sprint we have a small minor releases, because everything is like integrated, everything is like in place. We just have to make our code changes in the repository. After that, integration, then deployment, testing, everything will be happening automatically. So we can have smaller and more frequent releases, because in case something is going wrong or something, it's easy to roll back. Moreover, when your release is small, it's easy to you can say roll that updates, and as well as you can monitor it and you can understand. But if there are a lot of features, there are a lot of developers, many people are releasing many features together, then if something is wrong from one developer, you may have to roll back the entire release, which is not a good idea. And you can easily integrate AWS code pipeline with third-party services as well, like GitHub or Jenkins. GitHub is for your maintaining your like code, a code version control system, third-party system, not AWS. Similarly, Jenkins is also a release management service, a third-party service. So you can integrate third-party services very well with code pipeline. So this is very brief overview, like what exactly code pipeline is. Now, whatever things we talked about, right, we will be doing all these things practically. So create a code pipeline. So let me open my console. And before we create a pipeline, first of all, let's try to understand like what exactly we want to achieve. So you remember we had a static website, right? Let me quickly show you that. So my static website need is, this is my website, and if you will click on properties, and if you will come down, you see this static website hosting, and there is a link given. Let's click on that, and you can see that my website is opening. Now I want to control this website with help of pipeline. So that suppose I have to make some change. Suppose instead of shopper here, I want to write something else, or there are other details, right? Dresses, shirts, jeans, swimwear. I want to change something here, or anything I want to change, right? I want to make it as simple that I simply make a small change in my code and it should reflect on your website. So how to do that? First of all, this entire stuff, right? This one, if I go to the objects, these are many files, right, which is hosting your website. This one, about.html, blog.html, and index.html, and many more stuff, right? All these things should be placed into one repo first, and then we will clone that repo on our system, maybe on Cloud9, or maybe you can do on your local system. Then you can make the code change and commit your change into the repository. From there, it will automatically trigger the pipeline and it will do the needful. So how to achieve that? So let me do one thing. Let me create a repo first. So I will duplicate this page. I will go to code commit. You know, code commit is the code versioning system, right? So we'll create a repository. We'll give some name. My static website. That looks good. And that's all. Create. Okay. So this is my repo, and you have noticed that there is no file as of now. You can see that empty repository, but that's fine. We can upload some file from here. Okay, but we don't have a single file, right? We have many more files. So if I go to downloads, there is a folder which contains all of my website stuff. Just hold on. This one, right? Index.html. I'm just putting something like the user, I mean, author's name and email address, like who is committing this change. So we already had a detailed class on the code commit. So I'm doing it quickly now. Okay, so we created one repository and I just uploaded one single file, but the single file is not the, like, it's not hosting my website. There are many more files required. So uploading like this would be very difficult because it's not only about files. There are many subdirectories and as well. So usually when we are working with code commit or GitHub, we deal with it with help of commands. That's more easy to quickly push multiple files or multiple directories and everything. So how to do that? You can do clone URL. So clone SSH. The link is copied, right? Let me go to my Cloud9. Do I have Cloud9 open? Okay, let me open my Cloud9. Okay, so in the meantime, my Cloud9 is opening. If you guys have any doubt till now, you can ask me. Okay, so with the help of git commands, first of all, we will clone the repository on our Cloud9, and then we will put all of our data into this one. So Cloud9 is being opened because there is, like, behind the scene, there is one EC2 instance, and After 30 minutes of inactivity, usually your EC2 instance stops. So now it's starting. I will close all the files to avoid any confusion. Close all tabs. Okay, that's good. So I will go to Git repository. I created one folder. Yes. And this one was created like 2-3 days back. That's fine. Let's leave it as it is. Git clone, and the path I copied, right? This one. Okay, that's all. It has copied the repository on my Cloud9. If you want to see, I can show you. You see this one, my static website. And if I expand this, you see that index.html file is there. But now